Hello and welcome to episode number 4 of Ordinary People, Extraordinary Lives. And I'm here with an amazing story, an amazing guy. I've known him for a really long time, and I'm proud to call him my friend. But he's meant more to me in life than that. He's helped me through some very difficult moments in my life, and I've got a lot of time for him. Makes me laugh a lot. His name's Tim. And I want you to listen to his story. I think if there's somebody somewhere out there that could get some inspiration from this, then this whole channel is a success. I'll leave it to you, Tim. Away you go.
Great. Okay. Well, thanks, John. Hi, everyone. My name's Tim. Okay, this is kind of funky and weird. So I met John in a meeting just before this one online in Las Vegas, which was incredible. And sort of Zoom etiquette says that you don't WhatsApp people while you're in a Zoom meeting, but of course we were WhatsApping each other. And he asked me if I'd like to do a podcast straight after that Vegas meeting, and that's how I'm here now. And like I'd say all of the best things that happen in my life, I just go yes, like that, like really impulsively. I am very impulsive, but I think a lot of the really great things that have happened to me have just been on an impulse or a whim almost, including, the thing that I really want to talk about, which is how I inadvertently, or certainly not by my design, managed to turn my whole life around from the kind of misery of drink and drug addiction, a long haul, to being basically clean and sober for a number of years now, 18 years in February. So, my story is more important than anyone else's on the planet, and is also completely meaningless, and is of no value to anyone other than me, really. I mean, if the truth be known. But what I would say about stories, because the recovery process and the road to spiritual wellness and connection with other human beings is just made out of stories. It's just people's stories. And I think I came to a realization recently, last year, that one of the saddest aspects of human existence on this planet is that millions of stories will never be heard, and they really won't. And particularly now with the coronavirus going on, with all of the the direct effects of that, the people that are being killed, obviously incredibly sad. I don't have any friends or relatives who have been killed yet. My sister-in-law is quite ill at the moment. She's been in hospital, and she's got pneumonia and a heart problem, but she was sent home because she's able to breathe unassisted, and I guess they need the beds and space. So, but it's all the other massive, far-reaching consequences of the way that governments have treated the reaction to the virus. And it's not really my place to criticize anyone except Donald Trump, of course. But, there's a long queue of people behind me who will be doing that. It's just a ridiculous man. I don't understand how an estate agent can get to that level of job, but hey ho, miracles happen in all shapes and forms. But the way that the rest of the world has been reacting and responding to it is, well, as good as it can be, and in the UK we're probably going to face more deaths than we could have had we shut everything down more quickly. Then maybe more people would not be killed by it. But what I'm finding really fascinating is what is happening to human beings en masse. This is one decisive moment that we are all being pushed through in whatever shape or form, if we feel we're being forced into something, or if we're going willingly into self-isolation and social distancing, which is just it sounds like an oxymoron to me. But you see, because of the process that I've been through with my life, so let me be more specific. You know, I come from Northampton. I've got one brother who's older than me. My dad was a physicist. He's dead now. My mum was a teacher. My brother is a very, very clever guy. He's a mathematical genius, and he was one of those really annoying dudes that was good at everything at school. So, and he's 3 years older than me, so he was just a fucking nightmare to grow up behind. Let's be honest about it. So that had I can tell you identify with that one, John. But the thing is, I've spent many years, you know, doing work on myself since I got clean, primarily, and I figured out that, you know, I spent a lot of my childhood thinking, why can't I be like him? Why can't I be more like him? Why can't I get better at exam results? Why can't I be better at playing a musical instrument? And the thing is, the answer to all those questions is because I'm not him. Very simply, I am me. So the process for me is that I need to find out what I'm really good at and what I really love doing and what I really want to be. Not necessarily what I think I want to be. Going back to why I'm doing this talk now, I just said yes, you know, like half an hour ago, because it felt right. I know John really quite well. Lovely guy. Like me, we've both been bitten by the same dog, I think is the phrase that I heard from the guy in Vegas. Yeah. So, you know, we've shared a lot of ups and downs. I've never forget. I've just got to say, the first time I met John, it was brilliant. Walked into a job, didn't know him from Adam, and he was up a step ladder, and he looked down at me. He'll do it now, and he just had this amazing. There you go. He had this amazing smile, and I think you probably laughed like that as well. And I could feel something like radiating off you, something really good. And that's how we got talking. And it was something.
Tim's one of those few people. I don't know. He's definitely in the top 3 people in the world who make me laugh like this. He's definitely in the top 3.
I thought you were going to say
he can be number 1. He can be number 2. But he's in the top 3.
No, I thought you were going to say top 3 bullshitters.
Yeah, he definitely he makes me giggle. That's for sure.
Well, likewise, mate, and that's one of the reasons I said yes, let's do this. I've never done a podcast before, by the way.
Yeah. You'd be a natural, if I'm honest with you.
Excellent. I'm a podcast virgin, although I'm now breaking the thing. The waters have broken, so let's let them flow, buddy. So yeah. So the lockdown, the virus, yeah.
How's that been for you, by the way? Because I'll just let everybody know out there. Tim actually, okay. I'm not sure, but most people seem to end up in careers that are like 1 or 2 degrees away from really what they're actually good at. So Tim, at the moment, he has his own painting and decorating / refurb firm, but he's actually a really good painter. He's really artistic. Are you doing much of that? Are you doing any drawing?
Put me on the spot, why don't you?
Actually,
no.
show us some of your have you got any pictures there?
I don't have anything to hand, no.
Okay. No, but what have you been doing? COVID.
Okay.
Your COVID hobby.
Okay, what I've been doing is so we've been on lockdown for, I don't know, I've been on lockdown for 3 weeks. I think I had the virus, the milder version of it, thankfully. So it kind of ended last Wednesday. So I'm in isolation now. Obviously, I'm at home with my family, but so I was working, but we were doing less and less with just 2 or 3 people on the job. And since lockdown, I've been doing loads of stuff that I never do, like gardening. So we planted some vegetables today, my wife and I. I've been getting the summer house. We've got a very small summer house in the garden, which doubles up as a studio. So I am installing, finally, my art stuff and my table so I can continue to do portraits, which is what I want to do, actually. I will do your portrait at some point, John.
Great. No, I look forward to it.
So
He's really good. Really good.
John's my agent as well, by the way. Takes many roles, but
But I mean,
okay.
he hasn't got them to hand. So what can he do? I mean, this is his moment, and he's not ready. The spotlight's on him.
Hang on a minute. I've got something in my phone. Wait a minute. Let's just, oh, look, technology. Don't you just love it? Especially when it doesn't load. Hang on. I'll find something.
I think people are being more creative. I do.
Yeah, I agree.
I noticed that YouTube are sending me a lot more how to cook. Oh, here we go.
Okay, so that's a
really good.
Self-portrait.
That's really good.
Actually, hang on, look. It was him, Gov. I recognise him from the photo fit. Look at that. You wouldn't buy anything from him, would ya? No.
It does. It's really good likeness.
The colour doesn't come across so very well. That's me as Heisenberg.
Okay.
Yeah, so self-portraits, I've done a couple of... Did it
sort of become Heisenberg halfway through and you said, actually, I'm going to merge the two?
Well, and this is me as Kenneth Williams. Oh, matron.
It's good again. Yeah, the colours are great. I've seen your sketches as well.
Yeah, this is a friend of mine, Mark. And
yeah, this really, one I saw.
Yeah,
it's really good.
He really does look like that. He's a very interesting character who met Pablo Escobar, of all people. I can't really say under what circumstances, but, you know, hey-ho. And that's Linda, who's a friend of mine. I really like that portrait. Came out really well.
So, in the eyes. What's the hardest part to draw as an artist? What's
interesting question.
A friend of mine said it's if you're drawing a person, the whole body, it's the hands. He said he knows it, that's basically his level of whether or not you're a good artist, because you can draw a hand properly.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Your friend is probably right. Hands are extremely difficult. Trying to think, there's a really good German artist called Albrecht Dürer, and he was a Renaissance artist, but he was one of the first people to really start to observe things like his own hands. So there's a brilliant sketch of just his own hands, and also a drawing of a rabbit, you know, a hare. But this is right on the edge of art starting to really become more photo-realistic. And previous to that, Renaissance art had been very flat, very religious, iconographical kind of frescoes and paintings, but no sense of perspective, no kind of realism. And I love going back. I did a bit of art history in my degree, and it's fascinating watching how visual representations have changed with in line with political change and industrial change, and you know, and all kinds of other change. And also visual formats have been reinvented, usually to do with eroticism and pornography, interestingly, although not surprising, one might say, matron. But anyway, look, the main point
taking you from your schooling and your you study art history at university. Tell us about, because you have always been quite creative, and how did you get involved in music? And tell us about that.
Okay, so going back to my brother, he played cello ahead of me, 3 years older than me, and I started to feel the pressure about just wanting to play an instrument. You know what it's like. You've got brothers, John, just the competitive thing. And so I was lucky enough to be at school at a time when there were loads of instruments. There were lots of teachers who were able to teach you whichever instrument you wanted to learn. So I went to the music teacher and I said, okay, can I play saxophone, please? And he went, no. I said, oh, why not? We've got 15 sax players, of course. I think it's a really sexy instrument. That's why I wanted to play it. Anyway, he said, no. I said, okay, trumpet, no, we've got 12 of those. Trombone. I went all the way through the sexy instruments. And finally, he stopped me and he went, do you know what? We haven't got any viola players. And I just sat there and I thought, well, what the fuck is a viola anyway, right? It's a big violin. And then my second thought was
second-rate violin. Is it a
yeah,
second-rate violin?
exactly, second-rate everything. That's me, Mr. Second-rate. You got me. You marked my number. Anyway, so, and I thought, oh my God, like female viola players are really not sexy at all. I'm sorry, that's very
I'm about to
politically
say a really
incorrect.
gay violin, but hey, I might get like chucked off YouTube for that.
What, can we say things like that? Are we allowed to say?
I
Okay, it's
meant it
fine.
in I don't know. I meant it in the way that everyone's supposed to laugh.
Yes, I thought you meant gay, 1950s sort of happy word. Yeah, that's
That's
fine.
it, exactly.
Okay, wicked. Anyway, so I ended up playing viola, and I hated it. But the thing is, because I've got I do have an illness called addiction. So which is what some of what I wanted to talk about. So it's really, really bad for me, but in some ways it's really, really good for me. So when I wanted to learn how to play the viola, I made myself, I was so, I was obsessed with being able to make a good sound with it, and it was hard work. It's a difficult instrument to play. You know, you hold it under your chin, and you've got to get the technique. You've got to be able to make or I wanted to make a really good sound with it, and I did. And I played it up to grade 5. Then I got bored with it. I got bored with the whole being told what to do, doing exams, and I thought, fuck this. I'm going to play drums. I want to play drums. So at 12 years old, that's an interesting story. My dad caught me smoking. That was April. So my dad was a cool guy, right? He used to get really angry, but his punishment for me smoking fags was, it's April now. You want to play drums. If you don't smoke until Christmas, I'll buy you some bloody drums. And I thought, wow, oh, that's pretty easy. Okay, then I can do that. So that's what I did. And he bought me a drum kit for my 12th birthday. My birthday's next to Christmas. And then I went through the same process that I went through with the viola, but I didn't have a teacher. I had a viola teacher. Nobody taught me how to play drums. I taught myself, and it took a long time, but I really, really, really had a desire to be a good drummer, and I became a good drummer. And you know, that Vegas meeting that I was in before, I toured America in '93, between '93 and '96, with a band called the Mekons, and I was their drummer, and it was a good tour, nice venues, big venues, respected band in America. So I became good enough to be able to do that, get on stage and play, you know, well, and I made some really good recordings. And through that process, of course, being one of those people with a problem of not feeling all right and not being able to fit in, and you know, what the hell is going on, I slid into the main part of my addictive years with drink and drugs, and that went on for a long time, and came to an abrupt end in 27th of February 2002, which is just over 18 years ago. So, you know, I've spent a lot of time drinking alcohol and taking drugs with people, and I've spent a lot of time not doing that, but being in rooms with people who used to do that, talking about taking drugs and drinking alcohol, but also talking about being clean and being in recovery. And, you know, the comparison that I wanted to make with my own story and what's happening now with the world is this. So when I got clean, I spent the first couple of years, you know, out in the world. My wife, we're still together. She's upstairs on her Switch playing her game in her lockdown days. You know, she's not an addict in recovery, and she has a glass of wine, and I'm okay with that. And that was very difficult at the start. She doesn't drink like I drank. You know, she drinks once a week, for fuck's sake. If I could do that, I wouldn't be in recovery, but I can't because I can't stop. So the comparison between my own story and what's happening in the world is that the reason that I stopped was that the end of my drinking and using was a complete car wreck, and it wasn't the first car wreck. You know, I'd had about 4 or 5 car wrecks. My wife had kicked me out again, and for some reason at that moment, on that particular day, I could see that everything was that my life was just disappearing, and I was disappearing, and it was, life felt as though it was pointless and futile. And the next thought behind that is, well, why don't I end it? And I was getting towards that. So what I think is happening now on the planet is that people have been forced to an impasse or a rock bottom, if you like, and the whole species, we have all, and we haven't. It's interesting that we could have forced ourselves there. We are forcing ourselves there with pollution, with removing all the rainforests, you know, with emissions, all the stuff that we've been hearing about and reading about. But isn't it funny that it's all being caused by an absolutely microscopic organism that is able to infect and kill people almost randomly, and we are doing everything that we can to you know, deal with it and slow it down and make something good out of it. But what I think has happened is the whole planet has reached a rock bottom, like I did at the end of my using. And so what fills me with hope right now is that maybe the powers that be, or the people that make all the decisions, can just take a step back and a breath. Not Donald Trump, I'm talking about everyone else, because Donald Trump is just a fucking, anyway, whatever. Everyone else just go, right, okay, so some people are going to die, and we got it really wrong. We've got the system really wrong. It's failing most people. What can we do to make it work for most people? So it's an opportunity. I really believe it's a proper, massive opportunity. This thing, anything like this, I don't think is going to happen again in my lifetime and yours, John. So it becomes a big opportunity. But for people to capitalize on it, you know, and like recovery, being in recovery and fellowships that work around the world, they work for the weakest people. And they also work for people who've got a bit more, you know, stability, but they work.
Do you know what's interesting? Like you said, this could be a moment where we're forced to learn something, forced to take an evolutionary step upwards, or at least look at where we've got to in the past and say, do you know what? Do we really want that again when we start the engine up again? You know, but just like recovery, in many ways, we can't continue to point the finger of blame at everybody else. Like you said, this is this whole COVID-19 thing. We've all been self-quarantined, self-isolated. We've been forced to look within. There is a period of reflection that, yeah, maybe we're never going to get again. What have you learned in this period of reflection? Has anything changed for you personally?
That's a great question. Okay, so I've learned that I'm actually now a human being and not a human doing. I was just being a human doing all the time. So by that I mean I'm now at home with my lovely family, my wife and my stepson who's 36 and my daughter who's 23. And what have I learned? What I've learned is that I'm very happy to be in this home with those people that we get on so far. I mean, it's been 3 weeks. We haven't had any massive bust-ups, which is miraculous. And we, yeah, I mean, I have plans and dreams for myself and for the people in this house, but it's weird because there's a kind of no, it's not weird. It is great. It's just I can't really put into words exactly what I want. It's an opportunity again for me. Like I said, it's an opportunity for the world. Like you just said, John.
I'm speaking for you personally. What's it an opportunity for you to do?
To get on with my art and to forget about everything else. I've got work continuing, but actually I'm not that concerned about that.
So I guess when we go to work and when we're, you know, pottering away at things at work, going to and from, at home, blah, 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 there's still that little inner voice saying, you know, wake up, or, you'd be much better at this, Tim. You'd be much better at going this way, Tim. But we don't listen to that voice. We just tend to just crack on. No, I've got to go out. I've got to earn the money, and I've got to do this, got to do that. You've had a chance to listen to that voice now because you've been in isolation. You've been on lockdown. Tell me exactly, word for word, what that voice is telling you.
That voice is telling me to fucking sort out my summer house, to put my fucking studio in there and do some fucking portraits. Okay, so you can tell, right?
Do some portraits!
Yeah, you fucking waster. Get off your ass.
Yeah, I forgot there isn't a full stop at the end. It just goes into, you fucking waster, you piece of shit, you lazy cunt.
Okay, right. So you have that. Like I said, we're both bitten by the same dog, right?
It starts off very soft and nice. You can do it. You'd be much better
very
at this.
Quickly. Timmy, let me just have a little word with you. You fucking useless cunt! Do something! How many times do you tell yourself, oh, I'll do it tomorrow? I'll fucking do it now, you bastard. Right, there you go. There's a bit of what goes on.
Oh my God, sorry, are you crying? You can't.
So look, you get it, right? That's the dialogue. This is the real...
Hey there, it'll be okay. It'll be fine. Loser!
No, seriously, let me put my arm around you and don't you touch me. No, really. It's a loving, comforting, sort of paternal, you will fucking do it now, not in your own time, now. Right, so look, this is the kind of insane thing. This is the kind of thing we talk about, isn't it? In fact, I find it, this is actually...
But do you know what's interesting? Look, that is the truth, really. That the voice in the head, the voice that is always there, that follows us around.
Yep.
It can be soft, it can be nurturing, it can be comforting, it can be loving, and then it can turn into like a sergeant major, like a complete distorted sergeant major, most evil and wicked bastard in the head.
Yeah,
you can go from one to the other, but they're all trying to get the same. Are they still trying to get the same?
Let me ask you a very important question about your voice. Okay, so I don't really know the answer to this, but is that voice your voice, as in, or is it an undefinable? It's an undefinable. Yeah, it's weird.
I guess when it's nurturing, it's definitely a mothering a kind of female voice. I remember I haven't studied NLP, but apparently those voices come from different parts and different. Like the dark evil voice can come from behind you or to the right ear or the left ear, whereas the loving voice is in front of you.
That's interesting.
And they play with kind of switching the position in order to change it.
But it's a fascinating question because, you know, the whole of my recovery has been spent, including about 6 years of psychotherapy. The whole process has been to kind of
Is that therapy for psychos? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, of course. Who else? It's actually...
I always knew you were a psycho.
It's Mr. Psycho, if you don't mind. Anyway, yeah, my whole process has been trying to deconstruct and reconstruct the sound and the volume of that voice. And so it's a loving, nurturing voice. And that's the hardest thing because, and it can
we need different voices at different times. I mean, you need that voice like, get the fuck up and get to work. You're late. You're going to be late.
I'm always late, John. You know that.
You don't need that kind of like, you need to get up voice.
Oh look, hang on. There's my cat looking at me. Just a minute.
Yeah.
Carry on.
So, I guess what we don't want to do is lose the lesson. If you could, in a nutshell.
Look, Scully. There we go.
If you could, in a nutshell, tell us what the lesson is for you in this lockdown. What would that be? How would you term it?
Oh my God.
What's Tim's lesson?
Tim's lesson has been to really look after myself in an unselfish way. I mean, obviously, I'm here with my family, and it's, you know, because it's quite it's a bit of a task to even go out and get food and stuff like that. So we've been doing that and sharing that, and we've been organising the garden so we can grow our own food and all of that kind of really sensible, grown-up stuff. But I suppose the main thing is for me has been to connect with other addicts online, like we're doing now, which has been absolutely amazing. Oh my God. So I'm, you know, I'm sort of old enough to be quite sort of computer illiterate and a bit sort of, I'm very stubborn and I don't want to try new stuff. And having said that, I'm talking to you into my laptop, which I've managed to get my head around in the last 3 weeks, to the point that I can host meetings and, you know, kind of run things like that. So that's good for me. So again, it's me, and maybe this is something.
Everything's gone online.
Everything's gone online, yeah.
Hasn't
and
it?
So
it's almost been like a switch. Everything's gone online. A lot of people are ordering their shopping online. A lot of people are rethinking careers online. I don't know if you know, you've spoken to anybody else, but they're thinking. Even look, I work on a building site during the day, and I'm still working. Lucky enough to still be working, or unlucky. Depends the way. Depends the voice that's in my head at the time.
Exactly.
But yeah, just a guy that you would never have thought was even considering a career online was telling me today, there's got to be an easier way to make money than this. And I said, well, how are you doing it? He says, online, like that. And he said, yeah, you can make a lot of money online.
What's he doing, stripping?
He'd be better at it than me, that's for sure. But yeah, he's I think this is a way that we can see that we can connect, that we can branch out. I mean, even with your art, it's a way to it's a way to branch out with your art online. You have the marketplace, right? That you can have your shop. It's there, it's online, and it can be the entire world that's buying.
Yeah. So there is something really weirdly, uniquely satisfying about being stuck I'm in my bedroom now. I've done lots of meetings, and now we're doing this. So I've got this space, and then I go for one bike ride a day, as I'm allowed to, which is nice. Although riding across London today,
what's it like in Brixton?
Brixton is
it bustling still?
Yeah, it is. It's weird, and I guess a lot of people are going to get infected in Brixton. I don't shop here. I've been riding my bike over to Fulham to get food because there are not many people around, and there's no queuing up outside the shops.
Weirdly. Are they keeping their social distance from what you can see? Yeah,
not necessarily. No, I don't. Yeah, I've been into Brixton once. But you know, the opposite of that is my bike ride today was from Brixton to Clerkenwell, and then I went across Farringdon and through Gray's Inn and all the way down Oxford Street to Hyde Park, and I saw probably 8 people on Oxford Street, and about 5 buses, and probably 20 cyclists. And
sounds like heaven.
Well, it is. But do you know, it's weird, John. I was talking to a few friends about this. So, you know, I've got a lot of friends who are working from home, and they're trying to do proper days, and they're running companies from their computer in the corner of their room, but they're finding it really hard to be motivated. And so similarly, when I go out on my bike, you know, I actually hate London cyclists with a passion. I'm a cycling instructor, you know, and I like to judge them all because they all ride so badly and they're just dangerous, and they all look like black sperm, and they all think that, you know, the full body lycra, the mammal, they all think they're in the Tour de fucking France. You're not, mate. You're going to work. You're commuting, you twat. Anyway. Love you really, cyclists, you mean twats. So I've got this amazing electric bike which does 30 miles an hour, and nobody can catch me on it, right? So
catch me if you can.
Well, yeah. So I like to go out and ride, and I feel all of that kind of competitive, like, weirdness. But I know that I can beat everyone.
Do you do that thing that, you know, when the cars come up to the the traffic light and they go, rum, rum. Do you ever get like somebody next to you, like in Lycra? You're just thinking, yeah, here we go.
Yeah, I did. I think, yeah, come on then. And then I'd look behind 5 minutes later, and there's nothing, nobody. They just can't. But I'm missing all of that. So I get out on the road.
The
and
competition,
it's really
I guess, what it is.
Yeah, well, it's the energy of people.
There's no competition. There's no reason to. It's completely uncompetitive. But here again, it's that. So I mean, look, I know you're quite a political guy. I'm not really. But here's another thing that I've taken on board since this has all started. The world as we knew it beforehand was a capitalist kind of that the whole thing was framed around capitalism, which is competition, survival of the fittest. The rewards are out there if you work hard enough, blah blah blah. But we can see that model is really good when you start. The further you get up the mountain, because there's more reward. But the further you are down, and I'm beginning to sort of see, hang on, can we sort of level it a little bit more when we get it when we start it back next time? It's a bit unfair.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just seeing that. I mean, I'm working on, so I'm still working on a job, and the job I'm working on, the guy's obviously like a billionaire. So his job just kept on going. He'll probably never live in this house. He's probably got many houses like it all over the world, and he keeps it just for to earn money on, or to the value of the property is his investment. Fair enough, but I just look at it. Do we really want a world back where a footballer's earning £500,000 a week, and you've got old people worrying about whether or not to buy a fucking loaf of bread or to put gas on the meter?
Yeah, yeah.
Like what? Come on.
Yeah.
And then you have we kind of printed. America are doing it, but we've kind of printed money out of thin air all over again. It makes you think. I mean, I don't know. Maybe my economic theory would just completely flatline the economy straight away. But isn't there enough to go around?
There is. You know that. We all know it.
Do we need to be so competitive? Haven't we got to a point where we've got enough?
I think so.
Is it this sort of never-ending, like improvement, which in actual fact is making us weaker and weaker, and probably more prone to catching these viruses?
I think the interesting. So what?
The food we're eating, the processed packaging, all of the plastic packaging, all of the waste. It's actually the whole thing's kind of made me a little bit more environmental and thinking, how can we be? Because we're learning, actually, another thing that I've learned on lockdown is being more self-sustainable. So that means cooking for oneself instead of getting takeaways, which, in London, I'm a real, I tend to eat out a little bit too much. But even things that planting seeds, making a garden, if you got one, if you haven't, finding somewhere where you can grow food. Not eating so much meat. Finding out how your neighbour is next door.
I've been doing all of those things. I pumped up my neighbour's Anya's partner. Her tyres needed pumping up on her car. So she works in the NHS, and I've got to be honest, I have not stood on my doorstep and clapped for the NHS yet, because for me that's a bit too 1984. Where government is prescribing what everyone should do, including standing on your fucking doorstep and applauding people that you will never see. I love the NHS. I pay my tax. It's a brilliant thing, right? So I pumped up her car tires with my bicycle pump this afternoon, because she's going back to the hospital tomorrow. And it was nice to be able to do that, and I've been talking to them.
She give you a round of applause.
No, actually, I'll ask her to do that tomorrow morning before she goes to work. But the thing is, you're right, John. Level the fucking pyramid, or
how do we do that? How do we do that? How do we do that? Is it got to be a worldwide, a kind of unilateral worldwide thing? Right, this is the new thing. So I guess on the one hand, the new world order is upon us. But is it to be, you know, most conspiracy theorists would believe that's a malevolent force at work.
Sure.
But like bread, no matter which way you cut it, there's two sides. Which side do you believe the new world order, as best as it can be, would look like?
Butter up with marmalade, toasted, just dripping nicely. Yeah, I mean, how would I like my bread? That's interesting that you make the bread analogy. In the Ragged Trousered Philanthropists, which is a very important book, there's a guy, main character, he uses slices of bread to demonstrate how capitalism works. And it's called the Great Money Trick. I can't describe it now.
Is it a bit like a Ponzi scheme?
It is, yeah. But these guys, they're workers. They're like rock bottom workers in 1902. They're all decorators, actually, interestingly, in a fictitious town on the south coast. But they are being treated like shit, and they don't have any savings. They don't have any prospect. They just go from job to job to job. Most of them get fired, and they manage to get credit and stuff at the butchers and the greengrocers so they can feed their families, and then they run out of work and they can't pay the bills at the food shops, so they can't buy any more food, yada yada yada. And it's an awful tale of capitalism, which is what you're talking about, and a system that has failed the vast majority of people on this planet, and yet everyone still subscribes to it being the be all and end all. So I think what's happening now with the bailouts, I'll be getting a bailout.
Who's getting the bailout?
Well, the thing is, right, they've lied.
And who's paying for it?
Well, this is the thing. They fucking lied, right? So they've said that, oh yeah, last time in 2008, we bailed out the banks, but this time we're going to bail out people. But where's the fucking bailout coming from? The bailout to give me money for being self-employed is basically coming from banks, right? Which is then being given to government. So the British government have said, oh yeah, we can just conjure up 350 billion quid from nowhere. That's after us being told for 10, 12 years that we have to live under austerity because there isn't any money. And then, hey presto, as you said, here's loads of fucking money, right? So then they're saddling all of that debt with ordinary people who will owe the money back to the banks who have lent the money out again. So, you know, it's...
Yeah. So again, we're talking post-COVID-19. What does the world look like? I mean, obviously we're painting it in like rose petal pink before,
if you like.
But the dark side, like we could come out of COVID-19, you can have small business flatline, medium-sized businesses flatline. You could have entire kind of industries fucked, for want of a better word.
Yeah.
New industry. I mean, that is the future. Just everybody on welfare to a greater or lesser extent.
I'll be honest, right? So last summer, I don't read much because I've done a lot of visual art and music and stuff, but I've read some key books at key moments. So last summer, because of the Brexit thing, which, by the way, as a little side story, is never going to happen, ironically, after all of that wasted money and advertising and Cambridge Analytica harvesting Facebook profiles and then lying and saying they didn't and paying billions of pounds so that they could manipulate the vote. Brexit will never happen. You know, we'll be permanently...
It's pronounced Brexit.
Oh, sorry, Brexit.
Brexit. I remember that used to really annoy me when you'd get some kind of posh guy on the radio going, the whole thing about Brexit.
That will have been the BBC.
I thought, where's the egg? Is there an egg in there somewhere?
Brexit. So Brexit won't happen. I read 1984.
That's interesting. What parallels can be drawn with this whole situation in 1984? Because that's, I think...
Okay. So I think that we are going to be... I think Orwell was very poignantly, accurately correct. So I think that that's how the world is going to look in...
Lockstep.
5 years' time.
From lockdown to lockstep.
To INGSOC.
Well, because to be honest, what power ultimately do governments have anymore? Because tech companies like Google, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, they are the new government. They have set the new rules, and they are the judges and jury of what is right or wrong.
They can be. I mean, I
mean, that's where it's that you can. I mean, if you say the wrong thing now, that
oh yeah,
Google, Facebook, and they have their own kind of agendas. They have their own political kind of biases.
Look, Facebook, you know, I mean, I'm sorry, but Zuckerberg is just a shyster. I mean, the Trump administration were paying Facebook $1 million a day during the Trump election campaign to basically harvest information, which was processed by Cambridge Analytica. I mean, this has all been freely admitted now. And it enabled the Trump campaign to target sway voters, and they did it, and they hit them hard with fake advertising.
They sway like this, sway.
Yeah, but they don't. No, they sway. They sway. They're rednecks and they're obese.
Or,
and
look, right? A lot of my potential audience could be rednecks, so you know, I've got to say,
okay. Listen, Cletus.
Nothing wrong with a good old redneck.
I don't mind if you boys, you country boys.
I mean, if I'm out in the sun for too long, I get a redneck. But that aside, yeah. So I think we're both agreed. Obviously, our politics are slightly different. But
no, I don't have any politics anymore, John.
But one thing I would agree with you on is that we're moving into, and I think this is where there's a mixture there. I can see an overlap with these tech companies, a more authoritarian kind of technocratic, being ruled by, I was about to say technocracy, technology.
Technocracy is good. Well done, sir. Technocracy. Sounds weird.
Yeah, that your movements are monitored. What you buy is monitored. You know, every tax dollar is monitored. Every site you visit is monitored.
That's the other thing I realized. This is I mean, look, this is a real opportunity for, if we're starting to go down the conspiracy, how's it going to look? Why are they doing it? Why are they doing it? Right. So this is a great opportunity
to look at ourselves.
Cash. Get rid of cash. I mean, you can't use cash in shops at the moment, can you? Not really. So they would always love to get rid of cash, right? Because it's like the poor man's.
Oh, this is a perfect chance to get rid of it.
You know what I mean? So there's all this stuff that I try not to engage with because.
Do you know what, Tim? We've missed the point again, though, because we're not looking at ourselves.
We were supposed to be talking about ourselves, weren't we?
Well, do you know, it's like, isn't it the first rule of getting your shit together is to stop pointing the finger?
True. Well, look,
aren't we pointing the finger?
It did. If you listen back through the recording later, because this will be the best podcast that you will have ever done, obviously, you'll note
to be a recurring guest. I've got so few subscribers at the moment that I'd love to have you back. I need you back.
Well, let's see if you get any more subscribers. I hope you do as a result of. But no, I was talking about the parallel between, you know, my own process and what's going on with the world at the moment, and they seem to align, kind of, you know, in a way that suggests that there is hope, that there is opportunity. But what is required for that hope and opportunity to come to fruition and create something caring and supportive for the world is that people in charge go through some kind of paradigm shift in the way that they think about what you were saying about the pyramid, about the Ponzi scheme of capitalism. It's not sustainable. I mean, I remember reading maybe 5 or 6 years ago that every year, resources wise, we're using something like 6 planet Earths every year. So this is not sustainable in any shape or form, you know, with chopping down trees, with fossil fuel, with the whole stuff, you know. And look, since lockdown, if you go online and look at world pollution maps, for example.
Oh, you can see the sky in London.
I know.
So
You
much
can
better.
hear the birds in the morning. You can smell, the air has an actual air smell, you know, that smells like air. It doesn't smell like some polluted bag of shit. So there are some real pluses. I mean, the world, the planet Earth is actually gaining a lot right now with us in lockdown, which is an interesting fact as well.
Very quickly, you said it was interesting. I forgot your dad was a physicist.
Mm.
What would your dad have made of all of this?
Oh wow! You know, I said to my mum on the phone a couple of days ago, I'm so glad Dad is not around at the moment. I mean, fuck, I mean, the whole Brexit thing would have absolutely slaughtered him. You know, he was a very sort of mild-mannered, kind, liberal-minded, liberal as in proper liberal, not as in neoliberal. I mean, like old-fashioned kind of liberal, generous kind of thinking guy. He would have found it unbelievably bad, the whole Brexit process. And then this, oh, I don't know what his scientific take would have been on it, other than he would have been like everyone else with half a brain. He would have been looking at the words of people like Trump and just saying, well, how is this guy even in charge of anything? You know, he's dismissing all scientific thought and practice and advice, and he's just treating everyone as though they are his slaves, and this is my re-election campaign, and if, you know, 500,000 Americans are going to die as a result of it, who fucking cares as long as I get re-elected? I mean, that's the kind of guy, leader that we're having to live with at this particular moment in history, and it's appallingly bad, you know.
Yes. Well, I'd say, I mean, I can't comment on that because I'll be honest with you. I've found more and more so that I'm not. I haven't got the educational level really to comment. I don't know enough about it, but you can see the chess pieces moving on the board
Mm.
a lot more now. And my worry is that we get in some kind of conflict with China. Because already there's some kind of, but I hope we don't. I don't want to end the podcast on that note.
No, let's
Look,
not.
let's finish on this. I'm going to ask you like a few questions, which will bring us back with some hope. The first one is
Great.
if you can imagine that there's a billboard that everybody that could be put all over the world, so everybody could see it, no matter where they were, every day. And you can put on that billboard a quote, a phrase, or something of your own that you come up with. What would that be? It could be any kind of message. And not a rude one, but if you want
No,
to, you
no,
can
no. I
do
was
a
thinking,
rude one.
share the light and share the love, and then underneath in brackets, eat more chocolate, you know, and smile often. And when you love somebody, say it. And when you love something, say it. And when you see somebody achieve something, congratulate them with humility, you know. Be connected to people, stay connected in the most human ways, and those ways are the ones that usually make me want to cry, not because I'm sad, but because I'm moved by them. Those are the important things. That's what I've learned in lockdown.
What moves you? Then?
Great achievement of an individual, and also great change from, you know, bad to good. A car usually moves me if it's got petrol in it as well.
Has anything
Sorry.
moved you to tears during this lockdown?
Yes. Yeah, I do. So my little summer house where I'm going to put my studio, I go out there most mornings for about 2 years now, and I do 15 to 20 minutes of mindfulness. I just use the Headspace app. I like it. I like his voice. And, you know, during those minutes of me trying to stop being me, you know, I try to let go of any kind of constructed modeling, like endless tape machine in my head, and I'm getting quite good at it, so I can have, you know, I don't know, 10, 20, 30 seconds of just existing. And then, you know, something will pop into my head about an interaction with my wife, or something that my daughter's achieved, or even, you know, the virus, and I will just find myself weeping, you know, and it's all right. It's all right. It's just, you know, it's one of the things that I've realized. You know, I'm 56 years old, and it's all right for me to cry when I'm moved. But I get moved like that by really good things, like really massively emotionally charged good things. The bad things, I can do the bad things all day long. I'm professional, PhD in badness. You know, it's one of the things that addicts have. We're just used to like dragging ourselves along the bottom of the worst scenario. Go, oh, well, that's okay then. Yeah, I don't deserve more than that anyway, do I? Anyway, well, okay, crack on. You know, but yeah, the good things, the really great human connections, and the love and the support. Yeah, you know, the support of the NHS and people clapping on their doorsteps. This is amazing. I haven't done it because I do find that kind of thing a bit kind of 1984 Big Brother's telling you now to get on your doorstep and clap. It's like, well, come on, man. But I can feel it when I hear it on the street, you know, the support, the love, the connection, you know. And the thing is, people are connected, and the way that we can do system
It's going to be a
change.
fantastic party once it's all shut. Once it's opened up again, there'll be street parties. There must be a street. There'd have to be a street
I would
party.
think. I would
Yeah.
think. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, street party with no cars and no planes, and you know, I don't
Be
know.
great in Brixton, that's for sure.
I can smell the ganja now. I could smell it today. Actually, it's everywhere.
So, what are you most excited about in your life right now?
Oh my God. Well, I couldn't possibly comment.
Okay. What are you most passionate about?
Again, I couldn't possibly comment. I'm passionate about being alive and about being the best Tim that I can be on a daily basis. Really, now more than ever, you know, because I have to plan my days. I'm not doing much. Well, I know I am doing quite a lot of things, and it's all around doing Zoom meetings. So I plan my day according to which meetings I'm going to do. But there's the garden, there's the summer house, there's putting the studio together, and I'm going back to work next week. Probably not the whole week, but yeah. So there's a schedule, and it's good to have a schedule. It really is. You know, when stuff like this is going on, it's good to have structure. I enjoy structure.
Definitely. I find I get more done, ironically, when I actually have a day job. I squeeze more. Like, I'm doing a podcast in the evening. I've done one every day this week. I'm exercising once a day, and I'm still getting up and going to work. Like, I can still, you can fit just as much in if it's structured well. Okay, so finally, to round things off, I'm going to ask you we do this kind of anyway, but I'm going to ask you to do it out loud, and it's a gratitude list.
Wow.
Yeah. And I want you to give me 10 things, and I'm going to count them. 10 things you're grateful for in your life right now.
Okay.
Number one.
My health.
So I want you to put it out loud, affirm it. I am grateful for.
Okay, I am grateful for good health at the age of 56. With all the shit I put myself through, I'm pretty damn healthy. Number one. Number two, my beautiful, long-suffering French wife, Natalie. We've been together on the 12th of May, 32 goddamn years. That's number two. Number three.
Say it, I'm grateful for. Come on,
somebody's going to come in the room. Okay, number three, I am grateful for. What am I grateful for? My daughter and my stepson, who are amazing people. I'm very blessed to have both of them in my life. Number 3, my God, 10. That's a long. I
Come on.
normally do
4.
Number 4. I am grateful for my recovery and my friends in fellowship.
Number
That's
5.
number 4. You know, my sponsor would say, that's number 1. Dude, that's number 1 on your goddamn list. Okay. Number 5. I'm grateful for chocolate. That's it. Number 5. Number 6. Now I could say, oh God, yeah, I'm so grateful for my summer holiday that is no longer going to happen. So I'm grateful for my garden. Number
Wouldn't
7.
have said that. Would have you said that like a month and a half ago?
2 months ago? No, actually, no, I wouldn't. No, I would not. Not my garden. No,
I think it's a shared thing. A lot of people say, "Thank God I've got the garden."
Yeah, it's amazing.
Then you think, and then it's always followed with, "Yeah, imagine what it's like living in a block of flats," and it's true. Like, imagine living in a block of flats. Where's your garden?
Yeah, no, I'm
Where's
grateful. I've always been grateful for it, but now, you know, it's like being forced into recovery because I was going to die from using drugs. It's like being forced into planting stuff in my garden because I'm starting to think, well, maybe I won't be able to buy potatoes this time next year. So I'm grateful for having planted some potatoes and some bulbs, and we did a load of weeding. We're going to plant some parsnips, some leeks, and some carrots tomorrow.
Fucking hell. Sounds great.
Yeah, that was number 7. Number 8, I am grateful for my beautiful cat. She's just gone, but she's lovely. She's fantastic. We always have cats. We had 2 cats. They died last year, and we've got this one, and she's amazing. She wakes me up at 5 a.m. every fucking morning, which I have to stay grateful for. Sometimes I'm not. She's lovely. She's a cat. It's not her fault. Number, what was that? 8.
9. Number 9.
Number 9. Yeah, I'm really grateful for my ridiculous electric bike. I just love riding it, and it's exciting. And
how much did it cost you again?
£1,000. What was that? £2,000. Okay. Sorry, my wife might hear, so I can't.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Go on. No, and number exciting. 10. Let's round this off.
Number 10.
Let's hit a home run here.
I'm grateful for our friendship, John.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah.
And for you inviting me to do this and me just agreeing to do it. You know what? You're a great guy, and I have known you for quite some time now. I don't know, 8-9 years, I think, something like that. And it's been well. Look, this has been great. I've really enjoyed doing this, and you're very good at doing. I'd love to do it again, and you're a great guy.
Yeah, no, you're the same, and I'm grateful. I'm very grateful that you did this tonight, because I'll be honest with you, I wanted to keep it going one a night, and I just had nobody. I thought, oh well, I had somebody pull out, and then I rang you. You said go to a meeting. I thought, all right, I'll go to a meeting, and I thought on the off chance he'll probably say no, but you said yes, and it was, you know, now we got this, and I'm really appreciative. I found out a little bit more about you, and you know, I found out a little bit more about where you are right now in your life. I really hope that you pursue that artistic side, because I know most of my friends are artists. Most of my friends are musicians. In fact, musicians or artists, they're not fully formed artists, and they never go the whole hog. And I'd love to see you work on. I mean, you can see you've got a talent there. Love to see you do more of that. I'm sure it'll be a success.
Listen, I'm going to say this to you as a closing comment. So you just said, very interestingly, what I was trying to say about, you know, how, so the really great things that happen in the universe happen, they're spontaneous events, spontaneous. There's a really good book called What is Life by Erwin Schrödinger. And in that book, right, he's a physicist, he's an early quantum physicist. He wrote that book in 1928, I think. And in that book, he explains how evolution happens. through early experiments that were done with photographic plates that were put up on helium balloons, and they would have cosmic ray traces recorded on them. And he postulated that evolution happens as a spontaneous event in the human chromosome when it's bombarded with cosmic radiation, which does reach the surface of the planet. And I think that that is probably correct. So, you know, you get a spontaneous mutation on the chromosome in me that gets passed to my daughter. So there's a slight difference in her genome to mine. So evolution happens. So look, what happened tonight? Yeah, you got let down by somebody. You called me up. I was just starting the meeting and I sent you the meeting ID. You came to the meeting. We were both in Las Vegas, for fuck's sake. I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah.
And then
Amazing.
while that was going on, you just popped me a question near the end. Do you want to do a podcast? And I said, yeah, spontaneous event. And here we are. And it's been great. And, you know, the whole universe is fabricated out of all billions of spontaneous events that culminate in you and me existing. How fucking cool is that? It just is. It's the best thing. So that's what I'm grateful for. The whole universe. That means I can be here and talk to you about being in the universe. It's just weird and amazing.
I really appreciate it, Tim. Thanks very much. And yeah, have a great week.
And you, loads of love, mate. Yeah, take care.
Take care.